I'm Tammy Kolda, and this is Unlocking LaTeX Graphics. On this YouTube channel, I am providing a detailed how-to guide on using TikZ and PGF plots. I'm a longtime user of these tools, so I understand your frustrations. We're working our way through the contents of my book, Unlocking LaTeX Graphics, linked in the show notes, as well as bonus materials. If you like this channel, please subscribe, post questions, and share with your friends and colleagues. Today's topic is TikZ node shapes and anchors. We'll briefly talk about node shapes. The more important topic is node anchors. These are used to both position the node and reference areas of the node. There are several types of anchors, including compass point, angle, and baseline. We'll talk about all of those today. I'm assuming you're already a little bit familiar with TikZ and TikZ nodes. If not, go back and watch my prior videos linked in the show notes. As usual, we will create our LaTeX document at overleaf.com. Go ahead and click New Project, Blank Project. And for the project name today, we'll put in node shapes and anchors in TikZ LaTeX Graphics. Let's go ahead and create that. Let me get organized by closing the left navigation bar and increasing the size over here to 150%. We'll add the usual packages, overwriting graphic X. We'll use TikZ, of course. Parskip and full page are to make things look nice, and hyperref is so that I can link the author name back to the YouTube channel. We'll start off talking about node shapes. There are two node shapes available in TikZ without any extra libraries: rectangle, which is the default, and circle. In this code that I've just pasted here, we're going to show two nodes. They're both of type basic, which I've defined here using TikZ set. The basic nodes have a font of large and teletype. I'm drawing the outside and I'm filling the inside with green at 10%. We discussed TikZ and styles in prior videos linked in the show notes. If I go ahead and compile this here, we see that we have two nodes. Other than their contents, the only difference is that I added type circle to the second node, and you get a circle node over here on the right. There are many other node shapes available via libraries. If you'd like an episode on that topic, please mention it in the comments. A key feature of a node beyond its ability to hold text is that it has anchors. So let me explain what that means. Before we dive in, I'm going to change the help lines to draw at gray at 25%. This makes them a little bit lighter and they show up better on our videos. Let's go ahead and set up an image with a 4x2 help grid. I'm also going to create a node type called EQN, which is orange at 10%, drawing the outline in orange in thick, and the node font being large. So I create a node here that is centered at 2, 1 and has the contents AX equals B. If we add anchor equals center to the node specification here, then this actually changes nothing because that is the default. But we can change the anchor point to be something else. So for example, if we change it to be north, now we see that the node is anchored at 2, 1 at its north point, so at the top of the node. Likewise, we could change this to west, and then we see that the node is anchored at its west. We could also use something like southeast to get a corner that anchors it at its lower right-hand corner. I want you to observe here that southeast is not one word as it would normally be in the US. It's actually two separate words, south, space, and east. There are 8 compass points plus center that are available as anchors. This works for circle nodes too. So if I add, for example, circle here, I get the same thing, and it's anchored at its sort of southeast point, which is sort of at this negative 45 degrees. We could also change this, for example, to north or west and get something very similar. So here's north, here's west, and so on. We've just talked about using anchors to position nodes with anchors equals some position in the node specification, such as anchor equal north. Now I want to talk about using these anchors as references to positions along the outside of the node or the inside. So let me go ahead and create a node called AXB, which I've named here using parens after the node definition. Now let's suppose I want to draw an arrow emanating from the right side of that node. So here I'm going to draw an ultra thick line, that's an arrow, and I'm going to reference AXB, and then the special thing here is I have a dot and east. So that says start at the right side of the node, and then that's my starting coordinate, and then I do ++, 1, 0, and so that draws an arrow a length of 1 centimeter. I can even go ahead and add a node at the end of my arrow just by putting another node here. I'm going to anchor it at its west so that it is on the side of the arrow, not overlapping it. Now, what if I want to put another node underneath of this first node? How can I do that? Well, let me go ahead and paste another little segment of code here. I'm going to start at AXB, referencing this node, and I'm going to put dot south. That means reference the bottom of the node. And then I'm going to add a node there. It's going to be a text of size footnote size, and I'm going to anchor this node at its north. When I compile that, we see that I get the node linear equation underneath this other node. There are other ways to do this that we'll cover in future episodes, but this is what's going to be happening underneath. In addition to compass point anchors, there's a whole different type of anchor that is really useful with circle nodes. So let me first go ahead and draw a circle node. I'm going to go ahead and take that EQN type, and I'm just going to append it to be circle. So everything's the same, except for now it's going to draw me a circle. These special type of anchors are integer angles. So any integer angle can be an anchor. So let me go ahead and put an anchor on this node of 15 degrees. So I compile this with the anchor of 15 degrees. And what I see now is that the 2-1 anchor, rather than being at the center, is now at a point that's at 15 degrees. That might be hard to see. So let me go ahead and draw a little line from the center of this node to the outside at 15 degrees. Now we can actually change this angle. It could, for example, be a negative integer. So this would work fine. So I'll do negative 15 degrees, and I'll change this arrow so you can see that as well. It can be a value that is over 360. You're not constrained to be between 0 and 360. So it could be negative. You can be greater than 360. So here is 415. This also works with rectangle nodes as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add rectangle here, and that will change it back. And the way that that works, it's less intuitive to use it this way, but it basically draws a ray emanating at the specified angle. And wherever that crosses the boundary of the node, that is where the node is anchored. I don't know why you would use angles with rectangle nodes, but you can. Finally, there are also special anchors that align with the baseline of the text of a node. Consider the example that I paste here. I'm creating a node type TXT that's filled with pink at 50%, and the font is large with a capital L. And if I draw these two nodes, I'll make a node A, and then I'll align a node B, anchoring at the west point of B with the east point of A. Observe that the text in nodes A and B is not aligned at the baseline. Instead, what has happened is that their centers are aligned. So how do we make this different? Well, there's 3 special anchors that align with the baseline of the text. Let me first show you where the base of the text is. So I'm going to put a red circle at A.base and B.base so you can see where these are. When I compile this, these little red dots are aligned with the baseline of the text. And that's exactly where that base coordinate is. They're also based west and based east, which are horizontally aligned with the east and west edges of the node, but vertically aligned with the baseline of the text. So we can align these two nodes by using here base west and base east. And there's a space between base and the direction, and base comes in front. And now we've aligned the two baselines. This also works if these were circle nodes. So if I change this node type to be circle rather than a rectangle, this also works aligning the baselines. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I talked about 2 basic shapes, circle and rectangle. If you want to see more shapes, post a message in the comments. Node anchors are really powerful tools and come up again and again, and we'll talk about these more in future videos. There's also a lot of shortcuts that implicitly reference these anchors, so it's useful to know what these are. This is the 4th video in a sequence of videos on nodes, so be on the lookout for the next in the sequence. There is a link to the Overleaf document we created today in the show notes. Please click like or subscribe if you want more videos like this. You can also buy my book, Unlocking LaTeX Graphics, at your favorite book retailer. Thanks for watching.